The Kia Carnival, when it was launched a few years ago, was a product that truly created a new segment in the Indian automotive market. It was a proper three-row van that you could use, or a people mover if you want to call it. And now Kia has launched the second generation, in India of course, of the Carnival. It comes at a much higher price point, but it also comes with a lot of improvements, or so Kia claims. We are in Bangalore today, driving the Kia Carnival on the road. I'm also going to sit in the back seat. I'm going to try the third row and show you how much space it has, and does it really offer you a people mover that is value for money? Answers to all those questions in our video today. One of the first things that Kia has changed in the new Carnival is, of course, its exterior-interior design. I'm going to run you through both. What you get now is a car that to me looks a lot more sort of shaped, a lot more sharper than the earlier Carnival. You get this big tiger nose grille, you get these vertically stacked headlamps, you get these DRLs, you get the new Kia logo of course. You also get these big 18-inch dual tone wheels. Now, one of the interesting changes that Kia has made earlier in the previous generation Carnival, you could buy various grades of the car. There were different price points, different equipment levels, but now they've narrowed it down to a single variant, the Limousine Plus. That's the only variant you can buy. And even more interesting, you can only buy it in two colors, white or black. So those are interesting touches. You of course get this big slab-sided design. It's a long car at almost 5.2 meters, 5.155 I think is the exact number. It's a big car, and that's why it has so much space inside. You of course get the sliding rear doors, which really help you get access to the interior and to getting out in all three rows. And I think overall it's a good update to the design. It's a lot more aggressive than the earlier Carnival. And again, because of its big size, because it's available in white and black, it has a lot of road presence. So I think that way, existing Carnival owners or potential owners should be quite excited to look at what the new Carnival looks like. If you're an existing Carnival customer or a potential Carnival customer, I think the party piece of the Carnival for you should be the second row. Getting in and out is really easy. That's what helps in an MPV. Unlike an SUV, you don't really have to climb up, so that'll be good for older folks. And these captain seats with these armrests are a really comfortable place to be. You get a leg support. Now, interestingly, on the second generation Carnival, you also get heating and ventilation in the second row, which I think is a great addition to the overall package. You also get the dual sunroof, which makes, well, sitting inside quite nice. The doors give you big access, and this is one of the most comfortable places to be in the Indian automotive market. Now, how is it in the third row? Well, that's a big sort of question that most people ask, because in most three-row MUVs or SUVs in India, in the Indian market at least, the third row is barely usable. At best, it's for kids. But that's different in the Carnival. More interestingly, I'll also come to the boot space, because with three-row vehicles, what we see is boot space when all three rows are being used is highly compromised. But is the Carnival different this time too? Let's find out. Now, with the second row seats pulled forward, access into the third row is quite easy, but I still think it's easier for young adults and children. You do get a very good amount of space. You also get this adjustable backrest, so you can adjust the angle. The windows are a good touch, and overall, I mean, you don't feel claustrophobic. If I were to nitpick, there is one minor issue though. For my liking, my feet are sitting too high, my knees are raised, and that might get a bit uncomfortable in the long run. But overall, I would still say if you were to transport 6 or 7 adults in proper comfort for long distance, Carnival is one of your best bets in the Indian market. Now, ever since we first reviewed and I first drove the Carnival, I've been of the opinion that it's one of the most practical three-row vehicles in the Indian market. And one of the reasons, like I said earlier, is the boot space. Even with all three rows being used, you can see you can fit in a very large amount of luggage. So if you're going for a big airport run, I think the Carnival is one of your best bets if you're carrying 5, 6, 7 people. In fact, if you fold the rows, slightly over 2,000 liters of luggage can be fitted inside the Carnival, making it a great car if you're shifting houses or going to the airport. And I think it's one of the few cars with three rows which has a boot that you can go on a long trip with your family while using all three rows of seating. How is it to drive? How's the interior? What are the features like? What are the new additions? I'll tell you right now. While the earlier Carnival that was sold in India was a vehicle that was very well equipped, the brand new Carnival gets many upgrades, whether it comes to the exterior and interior design or whether it comes to the equipment levels. First up, I really like the interior design. These tan seats are very comfortable. They're very nice. Even the rear ones are large, very comfortable, and they look really good. The new dash is also fantastic. And one of the first feelings you get when you sit inside the Carnival is that as far as materials, as far as the surfaces, like this knurled gear shift rotary knob that you have here, or the metal finishing here, or the piano black finishing, all of that has been really upgraded very nicely. You get two big displays, both 12.3-inch curved screen. It's a nice single unit with two different displays. That works very well. You get a heads-up display, you get lots of equipment, whether it's LED lights or 360-degree camera, and also level 2 ADAS functions that has automatic braking, which is thankfully disabled on this car right now, and all of the other functions associated with it. You get a Bose sound system that frankly sounds quite good. You get a 3-zone climate control with air vents even for the third row. So despite this being a large car, like I mentioned earlier, 5,155 mm, over 5.1 meters, the air conditioning works really well. What really works for the Carnival's favor is that due to the depression in the Bay of Bengal, it's been raining incessantly since yesterday here in Bangalore. So, the AC doesn't have that much hard work to do, because remember, this, along with the size, it also has fairly large windows, so the glass house is really big. So the AC, of course, has to be very effective for our weather conditions. The ventilated seats in the first and second row also help matters. You also get a relaxation mode, like I said, in the second row. How is it to drive? Well, it's powered by the 2.2-liter diesel that's been upgraded. It now has 190 bhp, about 45 kilograms of torque. That's about 450 Nm, give or take a few points here and there. That's paired with an 8-speed automatic, and frankly, it drives really well. You get driving modes, and in the normal driving mode, I think it's a little bit on the lazier side. You have to wait for the turbo to spool up, really starts picking up. But you can always switch to sport like I've done a few minutes ago, and you can immediately sense a much sharper throttle response. The steering is direct, and one thing I really noticed, because of the heavy rains, the roads here, the highway towards Hyderabad from Bangalore is broken in many patches. The ride comfort is simply fantastic. I was putting it into potholes on purpose, and it tackles those potholes fantastically well. You don't feel much inside the car. The big 18-inch wheels also help in that. And the high-speed stability has also been fantastic. One improvement I've seen over the old Carnival that's remarkable also is that the NVH levels are very controlled. When we are playing the stereo, I can barely hear the engine. Even when we are not playing the stereo, the engine sound is very muted. There are no vibrations anywhere, and I think mechanically it's a pretty sorted package. Like I said, high speed stability, going at 3-digit speeds, it's rock solid. And I think, if we don't have much of a load here, we were only 3 or 4 people traveling, but even with a full passenger load and luggage load, it'll be a car that is very easy to drive and even easier to get driven in, because really, to be very honest, yes, if you drive your family around, the Carnival is a great bet. But I would, from whatever little experience I have and people I know who already own Carnivals, the target market is still somebody who's the rear seat passenger, who's chauffeured around. One, there's little to fault in the Carnival, to be very honest. I think it looks quite good. It's imposing. It has great presence. The interiors are a huge upgrade. They feel very premium. The seats are very comfortable. It has one of the best cabins as far as space is concerned, especially if you're moving lots of people and lots of luggage. The only issue that I see is that while the earlier Carnival was sold at under 40 lakh rupees, this one is priced substantially higher. Now, is the Carnival worth the extra money? That's a tricky question, because a couple of points, there are a couple of viewpoints I would like to talk about. One, virtually all car prices in India have shot up through the roof in the past 5-6 years. So there is some justification for that, because all vehicles have become so much more expensive. There is some justification in raising the price. Is it justified to, well, almost double the price? A tricky question. But then, I mean, if I were to say outright, I would say, I don't know. I don't know if I'm able to justify doubling the price. But then again, you see, Kia has cleverly realized that they have a niche. The only other vehicle that you could buy other than the Carnival with a similar amount of space, features, luxury would be a Toyota Wellfire, and that is well priced at almost twice of what the Carnival costs. So they've positioned it in a place where the target customer doesn't have much choice. Do I like the product? I love the product. The value, that's questionable, but I still think if you're looking for a 3-row people mover, a 3-row MUV, long distance driving, lots of luggage space, the Carnival, even at this price point, is a contender that's very hard to beat. And I think with the record number of bookings that Kia India has, they will have no trouble selling every single piece they make. And frankly, if you have the budget, this is the most comfortable and the most spacious 3-row MUV you can buy, which is also quite good to drive. And with the new suspension setup, is actually, frankly, very, very comfortable. And at this price, I think it's very hard to beat the Carnival.